Hello everybody, I hope you're well. For the benefit of those listening on the audio, my name's James, one half of the Planet FPL podcast, and you are listening to my regular Friday afternoon stream, Ask James, a little bit later than usual to make sure we've got as much team news as possible. Don't have all of it as yet. We're still waiting on a little bit of news from West Brom and Tottenham, but I want to start, before I get into the questions, of just giving you a roundup of what we know at the moment in terms of latest team news for the weekend. So on Fulham, Scott Parker says Anguissa and Seri are unlikely to be involved. Areola and Rodek will push each other in goals. If you think you're going to Rodek, he probably will get the start in goal, but it's a little bit dodged. There is a replacement keeper to put pressure on him now. Their opponents, Arsenal, David Luiz is out. Mikel Arteta did not confirm if Gabriel or Willian would start. He also noted that Matteo Guendouzi is in contention. Apparently, they've patched things up. On Crystal Palace, Eze is available in theory, according to Roy Hodgson. God knows what that means. They have Ferguson, Van Arnholt, Cahill, Tompkins, Sacco, Benteke and Wickham all unavailable. Southampton, Ralph Hasenhüttl has confirmed Alex McCarthy will be their number one this season. He starts tomorrow. Stuart Armstrong has caused a bit of late damage to some FPL teams. He is out of game week 1. Liverpool, no major news. A late decision will be made on Jordan Henderson, but most are fit. Klopp has made no decision yet on the future of Ryan Brewster. Marcelo Bielsa has confirmed that Koch, yeah, easy for you to say, and Rodrigo are both available and in contention. I would suggest that Koch is probably the more liable of the two to start, but both likely to be in the squad at Anfield. Importantly, on Souček, David Moyes has confirmed today that he is back and all fine. Quote, I would assume from that he probably starts. But obviously, everything with this is up to interpretation at the moment. On Newcastle, Matt Ritchie and John Joe Shelby are touch and go. Dubravka, Dummett and Gale, we knew are out. Still awaiting news on West Bromwich Albion. I've got someone keeping an eye out on this for me. On Leicester, literally just heard in the last couple of minutes that James Maddison has been training this week. Whether that's enough for him to start, don't know. Wes Morgan only rejoined the training group today. And Ricardo Pereira is still weeks away, probably unlikely to play until after the international break. No news on Tottenham yet. Everton, Mason Holgate is out. Yerry Mina should be fine to play. Unknown at the moment if there'll be debuts for the likes of Alan, James Rodriguez and Decore. For Sheffield United, Sander Berg's knee is doubtful. There's been some concern over Jack O'Connell. Chris Wilder said 7 days ago that O'Connell would be 100% fit by game week 1. Remember, obviously, Sheffield United don't play till Monday, so he should be okay. On Brighton, good news from Potter. Everybody fit at the moment. But again, of course, remember, they don't play for 3 days. And on Chelsea, Cesar Azpilicueta and Christian Pulisic are, quote, in contention. It's 3 days to the game at Brighton, so whether that means they start or not, to be confirmed. Ben Chilwell and Hakim Ziyech are out. Thiago Silva will not apparently train with Chelsea until tomorrow. Depends on his fitness. Obviously, he played in the Champions League final for PSG, so his fitness should be quite good. It wouldn't rule him out of Monday, but it definitely isn't going to rule him into the team ahead of tomorrow's 11 a.m. deadline. As a reminder, I will stream on YouTube in the final hour before deadline from 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. It's busy in the chat, I can see, so let's get straight into these questions. Stuart Bell says, all right, James, I'm almost set, struggling with Willian or Barnes for game week 1 only. If Willian will start or back in, but will we start is the question. That's the magic question. The most popular question I get on Twitter at the moment. I mean, my timeline is a fucking joke at the moment with, people still saying, do you prefer Dyer or Davis, James? I mean, seriously, why have you atted me and asked me? There's a reason you come to me. You've not heard anything I said for the last month. Eric Dyer, for those who haven't heard it, by the way. Willian, will he start? It's a complete unknown, isn't it? From that basis, if it's a one-game week punch, Stuart, it's got to be Harvey Barnes, I think. John Lord says, afternoon, James. Who are your top 3 teams you're looking forward to watching tomorrow to get some knowledge on who to buy? For me, Chelsea, Newcastle, Crystal Palace attack. So A few teams are very interested to watch Burnley's plans are, but Manchester United and Aston Villa playing each other in a friendly tomorrow. Luke Shaw apparently is liable to take part in that as well, so could be fit for game week 1. Most looking forward to watching Chelsea from an FPL perspective, as I'm not going to start with any of them, so that's the real eye test I need. I didn't need that eye test again versus Liverpool in game week 2. That would then give me a really good understanding of where they're at and what we can expect from them. I'm really looking forward to watching Wolves because I'm a bit fascinated about this on Monday night at Sheffield United. Palace with the injuries is a bit of an unknown. I mean, the likes of Batshuayi, does he go straight in the team? I'd say doubtful tomorrow. So that's why I'm kind of, at the moment, I'm probably steaming into Southampton. It's just a final call now for me, Che Adams or Chris Wood. Do I play Souček or do I get Adams in and leave Souček as first sub? This morning, I was pretty sure I was going to go Adams. That news in the last hour on Souček means I'm possibly going to take a chance and go back to Chris Wood and have him there ready and waiting. That's my final decision. The team I'm most looking forward to watching is Tottenham on Sunday. It's also the team I'm most worried about this weekend from a personal perspective because it's all I worry about at the weekend is what Tottenham are doing. I like the shout of Newcastle. Yeah, West Ham Newcastle tomorrow night should be a good game, actually. I'm looking forward to that one. Carl Bennett says, do I think Doherty will start? Yeah, you've seen some nonsense that someone I've muted has been spanded around on Twitter. I've only seen the muted comment because someone responded to the muted comment and therefore I was tagged in. Yeah, I mean, Doherty played for Ireland in the Nations League. His fitness shouldn't be an issue. Remember, he obviously finished the season late with Wolves as well. So his level shouldn't have dropped as much as others. Tottenham are actively trying to sell Serge Aurier. I mean, the thing is, at which point do you get him fit? Tottenham have got so many games coming up. I think he'll go in. Can I, 100% nailed and all that shit? No, I can't tell you. Do I think Doherty will start? Yes. I'd be surprised if he didn't. Nasser said, thoughts on Reece James for the next couple of fixtures? Well, with Azpilicueta touch and go, I would have think Reece James is probably pretty safe for this week because I think even if Azpilicueta is fit, he probably plays at left back this week. So Reece James should be a good call for game week 1. If you're in the zone where you're looking to wildcard game week 2 or 3, I think it's okay. I think beyond that, if it's a longer term selection, it's potentially going to become very problematic for you. But short term's fine. Emily Sissani says, hi, James, would you go Ings and Ale? Who's Ale? Then move to Ings to Martial for game week 2. Or Son and DCL. Then move Son to Rashford for game week 2. And would you go for Lewis or Lascelles from Newcastle? There's loads going on there. Prefer Lewis, I'd say, Emily. Yeah, even more than Big Tasty. I don't know who Ali is, so I'm not sure I can really answer that question. So Son and DCL, then move Son to Rashford for game week 2. Yeah, go that way. FPL Glasto afternoon, had a few hours tinkering, decided to go Tony over Bruno, game week 2. Thoughts? Yeah, it's fine, mate. FPL Bulldog, if a price rise seemed imminent for KDB before game week 2, and I plan to get him for game week 3, would you go early for the -4? No, especially when they don't play till the Monday as well. If you're looking to do it for game week 2. Early for game week 3, bearing in mind they're playing the Monday, yeah, possibly, because it's such a certain transfer. I religiously watch the news at 10 o'clock every night now, and I'm also someone who would never make an FPL transfer before 11 o'clock unless it's on the day of the deadline. So, yeah, keep an eye on the news. It's a really strong thing at the moment. It should affect your thinking at the moment. We're in a little bubble at the moment where restrictions are starting to be put back in place. We should be cautious. I do, however, think at the moment football is only likely to be called off if we have a mass problem at one particular club or if there's government intervention. I don't see either happening in the short term. These football clubs did so well during the restart, and we should actually give them some praise for that for a change. It's not something I'm overly worried about. However, early transfers not really on my radar at the moment. My take on it at the moment is there's so many good value players in the game that I'm less bothered about building up that squad. Ask me again after the Wolves game for City if I think, oh shit, he's torn it up against Wolves and his price looks like it's going to go up that night. Yeah, I might just pull the trigger, to be honest. But for -4 as well, I don't know, mate. See, you've got 10 days to think about it between now and then. I wouldn't do it before the Wolves game. That I would say. I would at least wait to watch the Wolves game. Rhinos Leeds says, hi, James. Firmino as a 1 week punt with a 4.5 million mid sub, or Martial and play Souček. I'm not keen on this idea of leaving the likes of Martial, Fernandes in your team. I'll be taking a -4 for both of those two players in game week 2. That's my current plan. So therefore, I would, if Firmino's your choice, which is absolutely fine, by the way, then go for it. Frank Sherman, what do we think? Will James have his captain graphic ready? Good afternoon, everyone. Not today, Frank, but I will have the captain graphic ready for 10 a.m. tomorrow morning with the assistance of FPL captain, as per usual. Ask James is raw. I think I'll keep it raw for the time being. Joe Finney Batter, best 5 million defender for the long term, currently on Reece James. For the long term, could be Egan, could be Bellerin if he stays. I'd put Eric Dyer in the conversation. Reece James, once you know, if you knew Reece James would play, then yeah, genuinely, I'd say, yeah, Reece James, great. I don't think we can answer that yet, not at least until it's a window shut on that. FPL Physio, hi James, first time joining this live. Do you think Son and Dele's minutes will be similar over the opening 3 weeks? Yeah, I'd expect so. I think that's fair. Son is particularly important to Mourinho, irrespective of tactics, more so, although Lo Celso's lack of pre-season and Ali's fitness during pre-season makes me feel very confident that Dele will start. But Son will play more minutes, I would have thought, if that makes sense. But there wouldn't be a lot in it. FPL Hitman's in. Good morning. Another Hoops. Good afternoon, everyone, and good luck this week. That'll sound confusing on the audio. Good morning and good afternoon straight afterwards. That's because we've got listeners around the world. J23, afternoon, James. Hope all is good. It is. Hope it is for you too. Glasser saying hello. Zaris says Ferguson or Mitchell. Early wild card, Mitchell. Longer term, maybe Ferguson. Mitchell's likely to start tomorrow. To be honest, if I had to pick one, that would be Mitchell, even though I'm longer term thinking, because he will start. Therefore, you might get the value out of it. If he then loses his place in the team to PVA, then you might be up enough pips that it doesn't become an immediate problem. I think all the 4.0s are shit. I'm not having any of them. Ash is in. Welsh Wizard 4 is in. Anto Malone, good man. James, best of luck. You too. Brett M. Hi, James. What are your thoughts on a zombie-style triple Liverpool defence? I think that can do very, very well. You've got to wait it out, though. There's a wide-held belief that Liverpool won't keep many clean sheets early on. I'm going with the 2, Trent and Robertson, as I've always promised that I would do. And I ride it out. I don't care. It's long-term planning, long-term thinking. And Ace says, afternoon, James. Thoughts on Harvey Barnes as a 2-week punt while I work out which Chelsea midfielder I want? Yeah, I don't mind that at all, mate. Ash says, people seem to think we'll be able to jump on and off the premium flavour of the week, but with price changes plus potential loss in value, are we looking at losing too much team value with that tactic? Not if you go early enough with it and go with the guy that's getting bought. You're going to keep coming out the right end of it, I would suspect. So, nah. Well, Aubameyang for me, in the current plan, he could score 5 goals in the first 2 game weeks. He's still getting sold for Kevin De Bruyne in game week 3. That's my current plan. Now, what things that might change that is issues in the rest of my squad make De Bruyne less of a priority and I have to fix other issues. Or De Bruyne not being fit, for example. Or Liverpool having a defensive injury crisis. It would be something like that would have to change my thinking on it. Otherwise, I don't really care what Aubameyang does. I don't care how much he's gone up in value. He's getting sold. That's my tactic. Doesn't mean it should necessarily be yours. David Beaton, sorry if you've covered this elsewhere, but who are you thinking of replacing Armstrong with and Sky? I might have a punt on Saka. It's a fair shout. I've not truthfully decided on what I'm doing yet with Sky. I think Pereira's in. I think it's leaned to a rejuggle defensively. I'm going to have a strong think about that tonight. And genuinely, I will tweet my team out for Sky tonight. It might even be to go without Liverpool defensively. I know it's really contradicting for those FPL, but in Sky, there's a forced wildcard after game week 4. Can't see me captaining Van Dijk at the moment. It makes me wonder if he's worth the value. That's what's caused the second thought on it. So it might be I end up with a bunch of defenders around 7-8 million because there's players I'm concerned about, like Justin. I'm 99% sure he starts game week 1, but I'm not too sure after that, actually. I'm not sure if Castagne is going to play left back or right back. Justin's going to play left back or right back. They're also looking to add other players. It's just got me a little bit spooked, that as actually, where he's a really good price in Sky, and because it's short term, I don't mind it. So I'm going to give that some thought and get a little bit more reliability in defensively. I think it could well be that I drop Van Dijk and it's spreading the funds, and it might mean I actually start with Fernandes. But I'll confirm tonight. FPL Classico saying avoid Leicester defenders. I agree with that in FPL. Aaron Lager, our correspondent, would agree with that to start with. SA Sports Fanatic, thoughts on Ollie Burke? Would he start for Sheffield United? Tomo FPL Blade, our correspondent, thinks no to start with. I'd be very surprised if he started. All the nice comments that have come from Chris Wilder remind me of the nice things I've heard in the past about Ravel Morrison and Jack Rodwell. I've heard it before. Burke is, or was, a super talent when he was at Nottingham Forest. Discussing this in the live chat with Mark Southerns during our last Correspondent Week podcast on YouTube. He was talking about how good he was at Forest. Like, fucking hell. It's really strange the way his career hasn't really developed and taken off. If anyone can get it out of him, someone like Chris Wilder, but I'd be amazed if he started. FPL Dave, what is happening, mate? How are you? My question, would you start Doherty and Kane or Robertson and Werner? Cheers for the live stream, my man. Dave, you got to know, as soon as you put Robertson in the question, don't bother putting option B. Genuinely, if you ever put Robertson or Trent in that question, that's the answer. I don't even really care what the other option is. Joe Finney-Badder, thoughts on my four-man defence, currently holding me long cock. You've missed Ben White from that, Joe. FPL the Adam. All right, James, how tempted were you by giving triple Liverpool defence another go this season? I'm going for it. Still amazing value, and hopefully no Adrian to throw a spanner in the works this time. I said this on the podcast a few weeks ago. The major mistake I made when I went for that strategy last year was realising that the second Alisson got injured, it should have been a bought and sell Van Dijk instantly. Whereas I was determined. I was like, the thing is, because I'd said it on the podcast, I'm going to stick with this. I don't care. And I did stick with it for fucking ages. It really should have been, as soon as a really major component was missing from that, then a bought. And that is all five of them. So if Gomez is first choice, that includes Gomez, in my opinion. Van Dijk, Robertson, TAA, Alisson. As long as they're all fit, the treble Liverpool defence, in my opinion, is viable. As soon as one of them is absent, get off. That would be my advice. That's what I did wrong last season. Sigurd Eggston says, hi, James. Thoughts on Doherty for FPL? Is there any worry that Aurier will start any of the first Premier League matches? Is there a worry that Aurier could start at the weekend? Of course he could start. I don't pick the fucking team. I'd be surprised if Doherty's not in it. We could list this for 80% of the players right now. Is there a chance player X doesn't play? You've seen all of these guys in friendlies. You've seen all of them training every day to see how fit they are. There'll be some players this weekend you'll be like, oh, didn't expect him to start, but his fitness will be really good. Is there a chance? Yeah, of course there is. I'd put Doherty starting at about 90% personally. Nick Hill says, Vardy, Adams or Ings DCL, a better combo. I think Ings is worth more than Adams. By the way, me going Adams would potentially be with Danny Ings. I really like Danny Ings' start to the season, so I prefer that one. Calvert-Lewin, it's a difficult game week one on paper at Tottenham. Doesn't mean he can't return. It's 3 good fixtures afterwards. Ings and Calvert-Lewin for me, now that Everton have strengthened in midfield. David McDonough, hi James, afternoon. Was just wondering about my theory that Werner, St. Maximin, Salah, Son, etc. will all move in price this week due to ownership and possibly force early transfers. I spoke about this with Werner, that if he blanks Monday night, and let's say the average this week is pretty low, then, and say, for example, there's other people like Aubameyang going mental and stuff, then I think loads are going to make the Werner to Martial move. St. Maximin, I think you're worried about that, and Son because of ownership. Salah because of a difficult game week 2. And I think, yeah, that's, I mean, I get that because I'm looking to go Mane to Fernandes, for example. Please don't ask me why Mane over Salah. I'm just being different. That's fucking it. So, yeah, I can see the theory on it. Also not bothered about it. I mean, from that list, I only have St. Maximin. And I'm not bothered about it. If he loses a bit of value, loses a bit of value. Someone like St. Maximin at his value, when everyone's looking at it, going, fucking hell, 5.5, that's all right. If he loses value, I bet he's not going to lose a lot. I don't think we're going to be in a position where you're looking at it in 3 months going, Jesus, St. Maximin's been shit, and he's 4.9 million. You know, I just don't think it'll go that way. Virendra Chowdhury, sorry, James, missed your news on Palace. Is Mitchie likely to start? I'd say Mitchell is likely to start. They can play Riedewald there at left back, but I think Mitchell will probably get the nod. I still don't think he's a great pick, though. Toby Alexander-Hughes, thoughts on rotating 4.5 million keepers given COVID-19. Lots have this theory. It's absolutely fine. You can go that way. I'm going Ryan and Walton. I just don't think I need it. That extra 0.5. For me, I need a goalkeeper in there who's not going to move till game week 16. It's part of my plan at the moment. I spoke about this on the People's Poll podcast on Tuesday, that the fixtures that Ryan misses 17 to 20. Man City, Arsenal, Wolves and Leeds away. This is 4 fairly difficult fixtures that I haven't got to deal with between now and game week 16. The hardest he's got on paper is like United at home, Chelsea at home, Tottenham away, I think, on paper. Those are the hardest ones. So, yeah, just ride it out for 16 game weeks. If I need to move it, I need to move it. Thing is, right, you could have 2 4.5 million goalkeepers, and if there's 4 games called off, you still guarantee the goalkeeper. You might find that it gets called off when Brighton play Southampton. You've got Ryan and McCarthy. Then what are you going to do? You've got 2. So don't worry about it too much. But it's okay to do the rotating goalkeepers. I just wouldn't do it because of a COVID decision. David Bell, hi mate, going with bench boost wildcard. I'm not big on that, mate. Podence or Jota, game only. David, pick someone who's fucking going to play. I think Bradley Parker, going at him, will probably tell you that Jota's more likely to start. You got to know Jota will probably get removed after 55 minutes for Podence. And if it's the other way around, they'll probably make that same substitution around 55, 60 minutes. Genuinely, if that's part of your bench boost, I wouldn't go near it. I cannot give the thumbs up to the idea of a bench boost at the start. I see the theory on it, but if you're sitting there and you can say, yeah, definitely get me 15 starters, very well done. Good luck to you. SA Sports Fanatic, Patricio or Leno? Leno, actually, now it's emerged. It looks like that Emi Martinez, he's on his way to Aston Villa. So, yeah, Leno. Notorious Nerd, Dyer or Davis? Piss taker. Egan or Sayes? Egan would be the preference to start with. Wolves are potentially looking at someone to get in to replace Sayes. We think the new fella Markout can potentially play that position as well. It's concerning. Chris Durrans, do you think Saka is worth considering? Yeah, you obviously do. Vernon Tapagni, Maitland-Niles. Adam Pritchard's quite high on him, maybe at 350. Arsenal correspondent. Have a look, strongly look at his article that we released yesterday on my Twitter feed. That will decide it for you. Notorious Nerd says Ayling or Dallas. We came to the conclusion that if you were wildcarding early, probably Dallas. If you were thinking longer term, probably Ayling. And so Malone says Tierney or Stevens, both 5.5. Stevens, but Stevens of Southampton's 5.5. Have we got another Stevens that I can't think of? Oh, you mean Ender Stevens, don't you? Incorrect spelling. Don't worry about it. That's what you mean, Ender Stevens. Tierney would be my preference. We just think that they're priced right. This is Sheffield United wing-backs. SA Sports Fanatic, Podence or Souček? Souček for me. Glasto, I'm bored of FPL now. Time for Sky and news of game week 4 fixtures yet. I wouldn't guarantee that those TV fixtures for match day 4 will be confirmed today. I've warned about that on the Sky podcast we've done. Virendra Chowdhury, stop asking Dyer or Davis for fuck's sake. It just really, really tickles me that I get the same question over and over. Alan McDaddy, hi James. Alan, get in the Patreon mini league. I see you're missing. Hi James, checking in on the commute. Late wildcard equals fill your squad with safe picks. How many punts do we dare take with such a long time until wildcard and some already planned transfers? Mateus Pereira is looking like it's going to become a punt for me. Now he's locked in that team. He's going to play every game, but it's still a punt because those who do listen to me regularly will know I'm not keen on owning players. I've said this enough about Chelsea of not having these guys at the start. So then to get Pereira is quite contradictory. And I realise that. The value, though, makes it worthwhile from a punt perspective in the sense that I might be going back to Armstrong in a couple of weeks at 5.4 maybe. I could come down to Dean Garner. So it's low risk compared to I'm put off by not really having much of a clue about how Chelsea are going to shape up from an attacking perspective this week, and not liking game week 2. Notorious Nerd, how many games do you think Justin lasts? Probably all 4, but swing away. I think if he makes game week 1, he probably makes all 4. That would be my guess. Nikhil says Vardy, Ings, or DCL Ings the better combo. I mean, if it's value and it doesn't matter, just Vardy and Ings, mate. FPL Hitman, who is your gut feeling differential pick for game week 1? That's it. Mateus Pereira. Mustafa Mohammed, Harvitz and Brewster, or Jimenez Ings, Jimenez/Ings and Basuma. Option 2 for me. Shamil says, do you prefer Nketiah or Adams for 1 week punt? Definitely Adams. 350 is not big on Nketiah. Also, Mane and Nketiah/Adams, or Ali and Werner. Fucking hell, Shamil, you should know not to put so many questions in there, mate. Either may be swapping them to Fernandes Martial next week. Oh, fucking, there's so much going on there, mate. Mane and Nketiah or Adams, or Ali and Werner. I mean, Mane and Adams is essentially what I'm considering, so that would be the answer. Callum Stokes, seeing so much waffle around Wolves left wing back. Vinagre will start on Monday. That does appear to be the case, Callum. And there is a suggestion over the last few days that kind of broke last weekend, it looked like it was going to go. That seems to have calmed down a little bit now. But we don't really know where we're at, do we? Essentially. Oh, just lost connection with my insider who's meant to be getting me team news, but I haven't heard anything updates yet. FPL family's in. Hello, Lee. Afternoon, James. Afternoon, all. Superb work and correspondent week. Thank you, my man. All or nothing documentary changed your mind on any Spurs players, mate. Ali in. I won't be starting with any, Lee. I know your lovely other half will be, but it's not for me, mate. It's not good for my brain until I enjoy watching Tottenham again. It's as simple as that. It's not me saying don't go and get Spurs players. You absolutely can. Doherty, Dyer. If you prefer Davis, Son, Ali, Kane. Even to an extent, the goalkeeper, Hugo Lloris, who had the best points per match of all the goalkeepers that are still in the game this year. I think McGovern, who's left, was better. Of first choice goalkeepers, he had the best points per match last season, 4.7 per match. You can even make a case for him at 5.5. So there are 7 Spurs players that genuinely you can consider. I haven't thought about any of them other than Doherty was obviously in my squad and I would have started with him if he was still a Wolves player. And I thought about it for a day or so. And then I realised it was probably just going to make me angry and upset. So I've moved him on. But I don't have the fear of going back. I don't have the fear of going without him. If Spurs tear it up on Sunday, believe me, no one will be happier than me. Martin Salin says, hi, James. Who do you think starts in goal for Villa? Martinez, by the looks of it, at the moment in game week 2. FPL telling Josh, afternoon, James. What do you think of Sheffield United defence without Henderson? Think they'll remain as tight? Thinking of Egan? Yeah, I think you can take the chance on that. Henderson's a good shot stopper. And so is Ramsdale. So actually, in terms of as a goalkeeper, they have quite similar traits. It's not like they've moved to a goalkeeper with a very different style. I think it's a very astute signing. Is Ramsdale as good as Henderson? No, I think we can all probably agree on that. But they'll be fine. I think they're going to find it very difficult to match what they did last year, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they do. So I think it's absolutely fine. They're a team that you can trust. And that's really important, I think. If you're going to go in around that 5 million defender range, you should ask yourself, can I trust them? Thanks, Rob Pick, for that info. That one I've already got, mate, on Vitinha and Marcal potentially being options for Wolves, but they'll need time to integrate. So Vinagre could still be an option for Monday night. I agree with that. FPL Glasso, did I miss some news on Souček? Yes, I'll quote David Moyes again. Souček is back and all fine. That is the quote from David Moyes. Nikhil says, is Son a good option? Yeah, he's fine. They're all talking to each other now. FBI Hitman, your shout out Ali got me thinking genuinely about him, Lee. Oh, that's it. So when Ali goes shit, you can just blame Lee, FPL family. Sorry, Lee. Rob Warnock, hey James, Ings or Jimenez? I'm going to say Ings. Who do you reckon is the better season-long pick, ignoring initial fixtures? I think Danny Ings' ceiling is just a little bit higher, actually, so I'm liable to say that. Jimenez is so reliable, so reliable. You're definitely not doing wrong if you go with Jimenez. Lucky Pen says hello, hello. Callum Stokes really happy with the scheduling the way that it is now. I think the lack of 3 PMs protects non-league clubs and everyone gets to see their clubs play. Thoughts, James? Well, I'm just glad that I can see Tottenham. I don't really give a shit about the rest, to be honest. I'm just glad that I can see Tottenham and not have to worry about dodgy websites and stuff. So, yeah, I'm pleased. I've spoken about my idea on the 3 o'clocks before and how it's an outdated thing. Nobody cares as passionately about me as a Premier League fan, as a supporter of a team in the Premier League, about what happens to clubs below the Premier League and how they survive. And that's I recognise the importance of it. But I just think there's so many things wrong now with the idea that we can't have 3 p.m. TV coverage of Premier League games in this country, even if that means the 3 o'clock games have to be on pay-per-view or something. I really disagree with it. These clubs in the Championship are always there fighting for each other, saying, attendances in the ground, stuff like that. Every midweek game's on Sky anyway, right? So what are you doing to protect the attendances in midweek? Genuinely, that's so many things. 3 o'clock games, we have to protect them to protect participation in football. And I got slated for this when I said it's 3 o'clock up. It's dark up north at 3 o'clock. All right, it's not, but it is at 4 o'clock in the winter time, in late December and stuff. When a lot of people participating in football on a Saturday, be doing 12:30 p.m. on a Saturday. So what? We can't have a 12:30 Premier League game anymore because that's affecting participation in Premier League. It's all a nonsense. It's all a nonsense. Yes, we need to protect these clubs. It's also a nonsense that I can go anywhere around the world and watch Tottenham, but I can be a mile from the stadium and I might not be able to watch them. Selfishly, my priority is always going to be Tottenham. That I can't help. Another hoops. Who do you think there will be price rises day one, or does it normally take a few days to see changes? It really depends, doesn't it? I mean, if Aubameyang gets 4 tomorrow, you might find that he's gone up in price tomorrow night, for example. So if he blanks, then he won't. If Danny Ings gets 2 or 3 in a 3 o'clock game, he might jump up in price. If you get a 4.5 million defender who scores twice, I don't know. Let's say Mitchell scores twice for Palace tomorrow. His price will probably go up tomorrow night. So it's dependent on things like that. I don't expect the markets to be too volatile. Don't stress about it. It's a very, very easy solution to early price rises. Leave money in the bank. Genuinely. If I give people one piece of advice now, leave money in the bank. More than anything, more than picking player, don't pick that player. Leave money in the bank. FPL telling Josh Joe, FB, all good, mate. Glad you're well. Viendra says, FPL family, all or nothing has affected me at least. Going with Dyer, Ali, and Kane, knowing they will be playing 7 matches in 17 days or something. Good for you. Nikhil, I've covered Ali. You'd have to put things in capital letters, mate. Cal Blundell, James Rodriguez masterclass on Sunday. Nah, good luck for Sunday. Good luck to you too, Cal. Sam Warren, hi James. Is St. Maximin your favourite Newcastle player, or does the phrase on Wilson signing change that? That doesn't change my thinking on St. Maximin at all, to be honest. Notorious Nerd, Ali or Harvitz? Harvitz for me. Nizel, Percy, Son or Pulisic? Well, it has to be Son for the start because Pulisic's too much of an unknown, and then Pulisic's potentially got a very difficult game week 2, so it would have to be Son. Pulisic is right on my radar. If he was fit, I'd start with him. If I knew it 100%, I would rearrange the team and start with him. Anan says Son and Ings or Salah and Adams. Depends on your moves afterwards. But if no intention to captain Salah, then Son and Ings, probably, in my opinion. FPL Andy, afternoon, James. Hope you're well. Is your excitement for the new season reduced due to fans not being allowed in? Yes, it definitely is. Also, it's not been a 2-month build-up or to get excited, or I haven't seen my team for 2 months. Feels like last week I was slating the performance at Crystal Palace. And he says, for me, I miss going to the ground so much I don't have the same excitement for it. It just can't be the same, Andy. Can't be. It's just not the same buzz. FPL family, James looks good to me. Frank thought he had a problem there. He'd have bought someone. Yeah. Isn't he bought everyone? I think Reece James is so what you got to remember, Lee, is obviously when Chilwell's fit, Chilwell's likely to play left back. Then as Pellegrini and James potentially becomes an issue, doesn't it? Thiago Silva could play. He's obviously going to be first choice centre back once he's up to speed. He played with Rudiger, Zuma, Christensen. For James, you want Azpilicueta to be Silva's partner, which is possible, by the way. Although I'd worry for them aerially a little bit if they went that way. So at the start, it's not a concern. I think further down the line, it might be a little bit. Rafik, you're very welcome. Thank you for your comment. Simon Smith, thoughts on Burke and Wilder's comments about him playing through the middle? Worth a pun. I covered Burke towards the start, Simon. Be very surprised if he starts this weekend. Rubber Ducky, hello. Nikhil, you're just going to put stuff in capital letters. I'm just going to ignore you, mate. I'm going to tell everyone I'm ignoring you. No offence, mate. SA Sports Fanatic, are people underestimating Palace? Possibly. Way too many injuries this game week. But yeah, look, suddenly if you put Batshuayi, Zaha and Eze together, then that's threatening, isn't it? Of course it is. And you look at that as a front three and you think, that won't get relegated. That's all right. But they need to get to that point and need to get the defensive assets ready. I mean, to be honest, guess away what that back four is going to be tomorrow. It's another reason why Che Adams come back on my radar, just to go with him and Ings. Ethan Johnson, thoughts on Salah to Fernandes game week 2 allows an upgrade to Foden or Greenwood for 5. It's absolutely fine, Ethan. I'm planning something fairly similar. Hitman says, get in there. I'm resisting the urge to tinker today and lock in before sleeping. Deadline at 6 a.m. for me. Genuinely, I'll be locked in the next couple of hours. Ross Harrison, Doherty or Tierney, that's the struggle I'm having at the minute. If you're early wildcard in, particularly in game week 3, then definitely Tierney. Doherty's possibly slightly the better choice there, actually. Very close one, considering the Doherty's obviously worth a little bit more as well. Tough call, that. Nosbit, hi James. I've been thinking about Liverpool defence triple up, Trent, Robert, VVD as back 3. No Salamane header and let me into United City assets. Thoughts? It's fine. Covered it a bit earlier, Nosbit. If any of that key defensive Liverpool line gets injured, abort immediately. Otherwise, absolutely fine. Effin says Tierney for the first 2 game weeks and Doherty long term. Bricky's in, oi oi. Shout out to the Wolfpack guys. FPL good afternoon. FPL Dave, cheers, mate. Zach Twyman, thoughts on Harvitz. Think we're going for game week 1. Of course you can. It's personal that I want to watch Chelsea play first. Rob Warnock, keep up the outstanding work, mate. Loving it during the strict lockdown in Melbourne. Must be middle of the night or something where you are. Rob, stay safe, mate. SA Sports Fanatic, Ben White, if he starts, or Lamptey. I really like Ben White, actually. I think he's under the radar in FPL and Sky at the moment. Really like him as a possibility. It's a 4.5 million defender in FPL and 6.3 in Sky. Got eyes firmly on. Just difficult with United and Chelsea in the first 3. FPL Bulldog, thoughts on City defensively. Laporte more nailed on that the attackers. Our priority is De Bruyne. Second priority would be Sterling if I wanted to be different. But no idea how they set up defensively at the moment. I think they probably start as it stands, probably with Fernandinho, with Laporte. Ake wouldn't surprise me if he plays left back. Kyle Walker right back. I don't know how it's going to be. Therefore, I want to avoid it till I know more. J23 says, with Armstrong being injured, looking to go for a straight swap to Saka. Don't fancy St. Maximin. Do you think that's reasonable? Of course it is. Danny Cunningham, hello, mate. I know you mentioned going without Vinagre in pod. After Nuno's words earlier, Mark on his time to adapt to the way we play and settle into the City, etc. Change your mind at all or no? No, I haven't changed my mind. I think it's one, if you're looking for a rotation, you're looking to play him this week, leave him out against City, wildcard in game week 3, he's perfect. For me, I don't really want to fuck around with a defence. So what I've got at the moment is Taylor, Ayling and Walker Peters to go with Robertson and Trent. Ryan in goal with a 4.0 backup. And I really don't want to fuck around with it. If I'd like, in the ideal world, which we know won't happen, I will have to make changes because of injuries, suspensions, form, change of opinion, whatever. I'd like to keep that all together and just play around with the attack for the first 16 game weeks. That's what I would like to do. So Vinagre, for me, on a longer-term strategy, just becomes a problem waiting to happen. That's why he's no longer as a consideration for me. Sujan Shah is in the chat. He's going to tell me I have to shut this down in 10 o'clock. We've got to record another podcast immediately afterwards. SA Sports Fanatic, McCarthy and Ryan rotation, or Ramsdale, Patricio, Loris plus Steer, bench fodder. Well, that's up to you, my friend, isn't it? To be honest, we've all got that similar sort of choice at the start. So my choice is Ryan and a 4.0. So that's what I'm going to advise you from a goalkeeper perspective. FPL Hitman, anyone else going without Mane and Salah? I think plenty will be made. Joe Finney Bada says, Sujan Shah is in the chat. Danny Cunningham says the beard looks immense. Fuck me. It really doesn't. Beard's probably going to go later today, I'll be honest, Danny. Sorry about that. I really can't keep up with all these ace guys in the FPL community with their beards. This is basically just me hasn't had a shave for 3 weeks. And to be honest, I don't mind it so much, but I can see the baby doesn't want to get out. He's like, And he's also going to start pulling on it soon as well. So it's got to go. Harry is 2 in 2 months. If you ever thought time flew, those who've followed us for that long, yeah, exactly. Fucking hell. Eric says, St. Maximin, is that good? Question. Oh, that's an opinion. I think for 5.5 million offers great potential, and I would describe it as that, potential. Jeff Holt, hey Jay's best wishes. And to you too, Jeff. Christopher C. Thoughts on Corey at 5.5. Box to box mid, decent points last season. Now at a better Everton side. I would be very cautious of any of them Everton signings this game week, would be the first thing to say. I think it's probably being looked at because of the 3 fixtures afterwards. I can understand that. I don't hate it as a shout, but in comparison to St. Maximin, I haven't considered Doucouré for a second, personally. He played, obviously, as a 10 at Watford. He ain't going to fucking play that position for Everton with James, Sigurdsson, other players who can play in that zone. Richarlison possibly could go through the middle with Calvert-Lewin, and he might have to force James into a wide area. Then you've got to have 2 kind of sitting midfielders. I think Doucouré plays a different position for Everton to what you saw him in the last 6 months for Watford, personally. So no consideration for me. Virendra, sorry, James, I meant Mishi Batshuayi. I can't remember what that's about, but no worries. FPL Classico, goalkeeper scenes are usually low. It won't hurt too much if you set and forget 4.5, misses a game, and you go goalkeeperless in game week, 4.5 from 4.0. It's fair enough. I'd always want to play goalkeeper, though, personally. James is in. It's just James. Hi, James. Would you consider 3 Liverpool defenders? Yes. Brandon Walsh, Ings for captain this week. I don't hate it. It'll be in my top 10 list for tomorrow. Rooney says, you top 3 4.5 million defenders. Yes, I have 3 4.5 million defenders at the moment. Steve-O from Elite's in. The guys are doing amazing stuff at the moment. Hi, James. Just saying hi. Nice to catch you live again. Always a pleasure, pal. Let's get a collab going soon, my friend. Thomas McStay, Mitrovic or Che Adams. I've lent to Che Adams now, actually. But it's short-term thinking. I could even sell him as early as game week 2, whereas Mitrovic would probably be a longer hold for me. So just consider that, I think. Liam H, who else is on the Pereira train? The Souček news has me tempted to downgrade, but think I'm sticking. Got a solution for that, Liam. Going to have both, mate. Jeff Holt, best, luckiest, the most upsetting goals you've seen live. Best. Oh, Jesus, the fuck. Best. Shout out for Danny Rose against Arsenal. There you go. Most upsetting. Fuck me. Most upsetting goal I've seen live. Raheem Sterling's 5th against us in the Champions League quarter-final last season. Genuinely was awful. So nothing has probably felt lower than that, actually, at the end of a football match. I think Raheem Sterling, the VAR goal that was obviously disallowed. That was, Jesus, you're so close. So I'd probably say that is the, it would be right up there, actually. There's got to be some other last-minute winners. I've got 30 years to work through in my brain. Those, Jeff, you should give me them questions in advance because I'd love to cover them, but I need to give them some thought and then I can go into the detail. Another Hoots are going to ignore your question, but thank you. Thomas McStay, Wilson or Antonio? Well, Antonio's in for me, so Antonio. Ethan Johnson, whether Rayling or Dallas plays higher up the pitch will depend on the opposition who occupies their wings. Yeah, it's a fair shout. SA Sports Fanatic, apparently Vinagre transfer cancelled? Question. Yes, we think so at the moment. Rune Bugan, your top 3 4.5 million defenders. Taylor, Ayling, Walker Peters. Thomas McStay, predicted clean sheets game week 1. Okay. Arsenal, Liverpool, West Ham, and Sheffield United and Wolves. FPL Classico says Pereira's schedule isn't that promising, no. D. Alex, hi James, your thoughts on the blank bench boost game week 1, wildcard game week 2? I've already covered that one a little bit, mate. I just can't get behind it, mate. Honestly, I really can't. If that's what you want to do, I know the thinking. You can then go straight to all the City and United guys. You can grab all the value as well. I get all that. I repeat what I said on season 4, episode 3. And the only thing you need to listen to is the intro if you don't want to listen to the strategy on that. If you think negotiating Manchester City and Manchester United's blank game week 1 is the biggest problem you're going to walk into this season, think again. And that is all I will say. I just can't get behind it. If you want to know more about chip strategy, I highly recommend that pod we did a couple of weeks ago. It hasn't dated because it's all strategy. Season 4, episode 3. Mustafa says Martial or Rashford the better pick. I'm leaning to Martial personally, particularly as Rashford hasn't played in the England games as well. Slaughter PFK. James, would you say Douglas an option at 4? His ownership is laughable. Take from that what you will. Phil says, I don't own him, but should people be careful of having Brewster with the transfer window open? Chance he could move out of the Prem. Don't think he'll move out of the Prem, but it's no consideration for me. Tanae Sharma, should I keep Ward-Prowse? Ward-Prowse invariably is someone who performs under his expectation, considering he's on so much set pieces, etc. For someone who relies heavily on eye test in terms of picking my selections, it's just not on my radar, James Ward-Prowse. If you want to keep him, great. Suman says, is your final team ready for game week 1? Just need to wait on the press conference news, which I don't think will change my mind from West Brom and Tottenham. But yeah, I just need to make a final call on Mitrovic. Sorry, not Mitrovic. That's a fucking lie now. Mitrovic is not going to be here. On Che Adams or Chris Wood. Che Adams means benching Souček this week. Chris Wood means playing Souček this week. That's where I'm at. I really like the idea of Chris Wood, even though game week 2 looks difficult. I think he's capable of scoring any game. I think if he stays fit, he's capable of getting towards 20 goals and being this year's Danny Ings. I know that other people are going to have priorities, like getting the City United guys in. So having Wood and Charlie Taylor sitting there ready from Burnley works nicely for me, I think. Virendra, are you happy with how Spurs' squad is? Do you think you guys can finish top 4? Can we? Yes. Do I think we will? No, because the top 4 from last season are absolutely definitely better than us. And you could make a strong case that Arsenal, Wolves and Leicester are potentially better than us as well. So can we? Yeah, I've said before, I think Spurs will finish anywhere between 4th and 12th. I'm not joking. I think particularly if we do well in the Cups, I think the league could just get thrown away completely. Or it could be that bad that there's another manager being looked for by Christmas, which I also don't think will be the case. But yeah, I think it'll either go really well or it'll go really badly. Whereas I think Arsenal, will finish 5th or 6th. I don't think they have the consistency to finish above 4th. Whereas if Mourinho gets it right, we might have that consistency, even though we are definitely not as good as United or Chelsea to edge one of them out. Chelsea, for all the players they've got, still have major questions defensively and major issues with consistency. You have to look at their home results last season. So I know they're better than us, but a league table doesn't lie. And to finish in the top 4, you have to beat the teams that are worse than you. And if we beat the teams that are worse than us, and in my opinion, there are probably 12, home and away, That's a lot of fucking points, and that'll be enough to finish top 4. So it's the consistency of what we have to do. In our first 8 games, generally, I want 22 points out of a possible 24. That's probably not realistic. The bare minimum I'll accept from their first 8 games is 16 points. That's the bare minimum that Tottenham have to achieve to finish top 4 this year. If we're in that zone, we've got a chance. 15 points from the first 8, we won't finish top 4. I can tell you that after game week 8. Rene says, I've had that one. Rob Warner has the news of a fit Pulisic affected your planning. No, because he's available. It doesn't mean he's going to play. Jeff Holt, solution, Dark Knights, split North-South Premiership, Dark 4.4. Jeff, what are you going on about, mate? Come on. Richard Roma, hi James, just got on. Is Kenny at 4.5 a good shout? Everton will Coleman start? We think it will probably still be Coleman, but obviously Kenny's going to put the pressure on now. Coleman is aging, so you'd like to see a bit of chopping and change in there occasionally. Edwin Guan, hello James. I don't know if someone has asked you already, but are Tottenham defenders a go? You might have. Yeah, they're fine. My Arsenal correspondent 35, who is in, says, oh, hey chaps, I got one thing to say to Adam. Boo. Sam Till, hi James. Ryan and Walker Peters or McCarthy and Lamptey for long term. Well, Ryan and Walker Peters, so that's me. Christopher C, 2 players have been in my draft since day one, Aubameyang and Pereira. Everything in that West Brom side goes through Pereira, so I think he's well worth it. Gurang says Ali or Son. I've done this one. Slight preference for Son for me. Brian says Spurs player for game week 1. Captain. Have a rethink. If you're going to captain a Spurs player in game week 1, make it Harry Kane. D. Alex, you think Leno and Bellerin will start game week 1? Leno, yes. Bellerin, probably. FPL Jordan, hello mate. Afternoon James. Hope you're well. Can't wait to watch Leeds tomorrow evening. Thoroughly looking forward to it as well, mate. David says, good live chat again. Thanks, James. On my radar, Ethan Ampadu, yeah, 4.5 million at Sheffield United. David says, top player, versatile, plays mainly as centre midfield for Wales, could play defence or midfield for Sheffield United. Listed as a 4.5 million defender. Yes, very much on the watch list. One I may come back to. Shamil says, thoughts on the best long-term 5 million defender? Keane of Everton, question. Is he better than Egan or Dyer or Davis or Bellerin or any of these guys? Genuinely, Reece James even. Don't see the Michael Keane as an option personally. SA Sports Fanatic, doubling up on Ings and Adams too much. It might be, but I'm considering it. Ethan says Sheffield defence will not change it as nailed on defence comes. Rune says thoughts on Wolves Fabio Silva this season will take time for him to be integrated, I would suggest. 35 who's in the chat talking about Andreas Iniesta. FPL Hitman, cheers everyone, good luck. Jeff Holt, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. You guys provide millions of words, but what one image sums up your views of the upcoming season? Good luck everyone. That will sum it up. And I will leave it there, guys, because I'm not going to catch up with all these questions. And genuinely, I'm going to shut down this stream and me and Suj have another recording for our patrons in 5 minutes. So apologies if I didn't get to you. Really nice amount of you in the chat today, so really appreciate that. The more people in the chat, the harder it is for me to get through everyone, essentially. And this will be converted into an audio as well. So if you've joined in late, you can obviously go back and watch the start. I've obviously gone through some detail on press conference news at the top there as well. Just before I go, we'll just have a quick check, see if there's any news on those we were waiting on. So nothing as yet from West Brom and Tottenham, but we're not particularly expecting anything from those clubs, I would say. Let's just have a double check. Ben Dinnery might have something quick. He's the best man to follow for injuries. And to be fair, Fantasy Football Scout put out some really good tweets in terms of injuries as well. But no, there is no update yet on team news from Tottenham and West Brom. But I covered everybody else off basically at the start. Guys, stay calm. Very best of luck. That was fast-paced, more than what an Ask James stream normally is, but I completely understand that this week with obviously the priorities ahead of game week 1. I will be on YouTube again tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. till the deadline to help you as best I can and answer as many of your questions as quickly as possible during that hour. Join me then. It'll be fast-paced. It'll be fun. However, I recommend all of you have your teams locked in before then, genuinely. But it will still be fun. Plus, it's fun seeing everybody else have the meltdown. And, of course, this year, we haven't got that deadline to deal with in terms of team reveals. We are very unlikely to have Arsenal team news when that deadline drops at 11 a.m. UK time tomorrow. Get your teams locked in tonight, guys. Just keep an eye on media coverage after 11 p.m. tonight on social media. Just the written press for those who've got late news today, or those who obviously trained or had their press conferences yesterday, like Chelsea, for example. If there's some late developing news, the written media may always have it potentially after 11 o'clock at night. That's why I'll never make a transfer before 11 o'clock at night. I realise that's not viable for all of you, but just keep your ears open. It'll be all over Twitter if there is any news like that, like, Werner's had a setback or anything like that. Good luck, everyone. Be nice to each other. Stay safe. Remember, what your opinion is not necessarily what someone else's opinion is. And now it's at this stage where trust your own instinct. Definitely, guys. Good luck. For the benefit of the audio, cue music, please, man child.